For most of human history, diabetes was almost unknown. Not managed, not treated, not controlled, simply rare. People lived without blood sugar monitors, without insulin injections, without constant medical warnings. And yet, this disease that now defines modern life barely existed. This raises an uncomfortable question. If technology advanced, if food became easier, if medicine improved, why did diabetes explode instead of disappear? The answer is not a mystery of genetics, and it is not a failure of willpower. It is a story about how life itself quietly changed. Medieval people were not healthier because they were stronger, smarter, or more disciplined. They lived in a world that naturally protected the human body. Food had limits. Movement was unavoidable. Rest was real. Hunger was normal. These conditions shaped the body in ways modern life no longer allows. Today, we eat more than ever, move less than ever, and yet feel more exhausted, more inflamed, and more dependent on medicine than any generation before us. Something essential was lost, not suddenly, but slowly, so quietly that most people never noticed. This video is not about romanticizing the past or rejecting progress. It is about understanding what the past preserved without trying, and what modern life unknowingly removed. Because the human body has not changed. It is still responding to the same rules it always has. And once you see what changed, you will never look at diabetes or modern life the same way again. Food was earned, not automatic. In medieval life, food was never separated from effort. Every meal carried a story of movement, patience, and time. People did not eat because a clock told them to, or because boredom appeared, or because a screen reminded them. They ate because their bodies truly needed nourishment, and because they had worked to make that nourishment exist. Food required walking long distances, tending land, gathering ingredients, and waiting for seasons to pass. Bread was not purchased instantly. It was the result of grinding grain, fermenting dough, and baking slowly. Vegetables followed the rhythm of the earth, not human desire. Hunger was expected, understood, and respected. It was not feared or avoided at all costs. Because of this, the body learned patience. When food was not available, the body adapted instead of panicking. Insulin levels naturally dropped during these periods, allowing blood sugar to stabilize and cells to remain responsive. The body rested between meals, repaired itself, and stayed metabolically flexible. Eating had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Modern life erased this entire rhythm. Food now arrives instantly, without effort, without waiting, and without limits. Meals are no longer events, but interruptions, squeezed between distractions and obligations. Hunger has been redefined as an emergency, something to silence immediately, rather than understand. As a result, the body is never allowed to pause. Insulin remains elevated, blood sugar rarely settles, and cells slowly lose sensitivity. The body is constantly processing, storing, and defending itself against excess. What once protected health through restraint has been replaced by constant availability, and the body never gets the relief it was designed to need. Sugar was a rare event, not a daily ingredient. In medieval life, sweetness was not woven into everyday eating. It was an experience that arrived rarely, tied to nature, seasons, and special moments. Most people lived their entire lives without tasting refined sugar at all. When sweetness appeared, it came from honey gathered with effort or fruit harvested during a short window of the year. Sweetness was limited, respected, and never expected. Because sugar was rare, the human body never adapted to constant exposure. Insulin was not overworked, blood sugar remained balanced, and cravings did not dominate behavior. Sweetness did not train the brain to demand more, because it was never available often enough to form dependency. The body remained sensitive, calm, and responsive. Modern life transforms sweetness from a moment into a background presence. Sugar now hides in foods that were never meant to be sweet. It appears in bread, sauces, drinks, and even foods marketed as healthy. The tongue is trained to expect sweetness everywhere, and the body is forced to respond repeatedly, without rest or recovery. This constant exposure overwhelms the system that once handled sugar with ease. Insulin is released again and again. Blood sugar rises and falls unnaturally, and cells begin to resist the very hormone designed to protect them. What was once an occasional signal becomes relentless noise. The problem is not that humans enjoy sweetness. The problem is that sweetness was never meant to be constant. When something designed to be rare becomes routine, the body pays the price. Medieval life protected metabolic health not through discipline, but through natural limitation. Modern life removed those limits, and imbalance followed. Bread fed the body, not the bloodstream. In medieval life, bread was not a fast food. It was a slow, deliberate nourishment shaped by time, texture, and tradition. Grain was stone ground, leaving the natural structure intact. Dough was fermented patiently, often overnight or longer, allowing the body to digest it gently. The result was dense, filling bread that entered the body gradually, not violently. This type of bread released energy slowly, feeding muscles, labor, and long days of physical work. Blood sugar rose gently and settled naturally. Insulin responded briefly and then rested. The body remained stable, balanced, and protected from sudden spikes. Bread was a foundation of life, not a metabolic shock. Modern bread was rebuilt for speed and profit. Grains are stripped of fiber, ground into fine powders, and recombined into soft, airy products designed to be eaten quickly and in large amounts. Fermentation was shortened or removed, and natural resistance was lost. What reaches the bloodstream now is not nourishment, but instant glucose. The grain itself did not betray the body. Human processing did. By removing structure, time, and restraint, modern bread bypasses the body's natural controls and floods the bloodstream. Blood sugar spikes sharply, insulin surges aggressively, and over time the system becomes exhausted. Medieval bread worked with the body's design. Modern bread works against it. The difference is not tradition versus technology, but respect versus distortion. When food is engineered to move faster than the body can handle, imbalance becomes inevitable. Movement was not optional. In medieval life, movement was not something added to the day. It was the day. Survival demanded physical effort, and the body responded by staying active from morning until night. Walking was unavoidable, lifting was normal, and long periods of stillness were rare. Life itself ensured that muscles were constantly engaged. This daily movement played a powerful role in protecting metabolic health. Active muscles absorb sugar from the bloodstream naturally, without the need for excessive insulin. Glucose was used immediately for labor, warmth, and endurance. The body remained efficient, balanced, and responsive because it was doing what it was designed to do. Modern life separated movement from living. Physical effort became optional, scheduled, and often avoided. Long hours of sitting replaced natural activity, and muscles that once worked all day now remain inactive for most of it. When muscles are silent, sugar has nowhere to go, and insulin is forced to work harder to compensate. Over time, this creates resistance rather than balance. Blood sugar remains elevated, insulin signals are ignored, and the body enters a state of confusion and overload. The problem is not a lack of discipline, but a mismatch between biology and lifestyle. Medieval people did not exercise to stay healthy. They lived in a way that made health unavoidable. Modern life requires conscious effort to recreate what once happened naturally. And when movement disappears from daily life, metabolic disease quietly takes its place. Meals were simple and unexciting. In medieval life, meals were not designed to entertain. Food existed to sustain the body, not to stimulate endless desire. Most people ate the same foods repeatedly, prepared in familiar ways, using limited ingredients. There were no endless flavor combinations, no constant novelty, and no attempt to make every meal unforgettable. This simplicity protected the body in ways few people recognize today. When food is predictable, the brain does not chase pleasure. Appetite remains calm, hunger signals stay honest, and fullness arrives naturally. People stopped eating when the body was satisfied, not when stimulation finally faded. Modern food reverses this completely. Meals are engineered to excite the senses, override restraint, and encourage overconsumption. Strong flavors, added sugars, refined fats, and artificial textures keep the brain engaged long after the body has received enough energy. Eating becomes entertainment, and stopping becomes difficult. When stimulation replaces nourishment, the body loses its natural brakes. Blood sugar rises higher, insulin stays elevated longer, and excess energy is stored rather than used. Over time, this constant overeating strains the system and pushes it toward resistance and imbalance. Medieval meals may have been simple, but they were honest. They fed the body without confusing it. Modern meals promise pleasure, but quietly undermine balance. When food stops being exciting, health often begins to return. Liquid sugar did not exist. In medieval life, calories were eaten slowly and deliberately. Food had texture, resistance, and weight. It required chewing, digestion, and time before it entered the bloodstream. This natural process acted as a protective barrier, allowing the body to regulate how quickly sugar was absorbed and how strongly insulin needed to respond. Sweetness, when it appeared, came with fiber, effort, and limits. Fruit was eaten whole, not extracted and concentrated. There were no sweetened drinks flooding the body with sugar in seconds. The digestive system controlled the pace, and the bloodstream was never overwhelmed. Modern life removed this barrier completely. Liquid sugar now enters the body faster than the body can manage. Sweetened beverages bypass chewing, bypass fullness signals, and deliver massive sugar loads directly into circulation. Insulin is forced into emergency response mode, repeatedly and relentlessly. Because liquids do not create the same sense of fullness as solid food, consumption increases without awareness. Large amounts of sugar are taken in without the body ever signaling satisfaction. Over time, this constant pressure exhausts insulin function and pushes the system toward resistance. Medieval people were protected simply by the absence of liquid sugar. Modern people are surrounded by it. When sugar moves faster than biology allows, damage is not dramatic at first. It is quiet, gradual, and cumulative, until balance is finally lost. Natural fasting happened every day. In medieval life, eating followed the rhythm of daylight and necessity, not convenience or desire. Meals had clear beginnings and endings, shaped by work, seasons, and available light. Dinner was eaten early, and once it ended, eating stopped. Night was for rest, not digestion. Morning did not begin with instant food. People often worked for hours before their first meal, allowing the body to remain in a fasted state. These long, quiet gaps between meals were not intentional health strategies, but they acted as powerful protection. Insulin levels dropped naturally, blood sugar stabilized, and the body shifted into repair and maintenance. During these fasting periods, cells regained sensitivity, stored energy was used efficiently, and metabolic balance was restored. The body was given time to reset instead of being pushed continuously into storage mode. This daily rhythm kept insulin responsive and prevented chronic overload. Modern life erased these pauses completely. Artificial light, late nights, constant availability of food, and social habits blurred the boundary between eating and resting. The body is now asked to digest around the clock, leaving no space for recovery. Insulin remains elevated, blood sugar rarely settles, and repair mechanisms are delayed or ignored. The problem is not that fasting is missing from modern life. The problem is that rest from eating was once unavoidable, and now it is rare. When the body is never given silence, it begins to break under constant demand. Medieval life protected metabolic health by allowing the body to rest every single day without effort, trends, or intention. Stress was short, not constant. In medieval life, stress existed, but it was not continuous. Danger came suddenly and passed quickly. Physical threats, hard labor, and uncertainty triggered the body's stress response for a short time, and once the moment ended, the body returned to calm. Hormones rose, did their job, and then settled. This pattern protected metabolic health. Temporary stress raised blood sugar briefly to fuel survival, but because it ended, The system recovered. Insulin sensitivity remained intact, and the body returned to balance. Stress served a purpose and then released its grip. Modern life changed the nature of stress entirely. Today, stress rarely arrives as a single event. It lingers in the background, fueled by financial pressure, constant notifications, artificial deadlines, and mental noise. The body remains in a state of alert, even when no physical danger exists. Chronic stress quietly raises blood sugar without food, forcing insulin to respond repeatedly. This constant hormonal pressure exhausts the system and accelerates insulin resistance. The damage does not feel dramatic at first, because it happens silently, day after day, without obvious warning. Medieval people experienced stress through their bodies and released it through action and rest. Modern people experience stress through their minds and carry it without relief. When stress never ends, the body never recovers, and metabolic balance slowly collapses. Food had consequences. In medieval life, food was never separated from consequence. Eating too much today could mean having less tomorrow. Scarcity was not a theory, but a reality, and this reality shaped behavior naturally. People respected food because waste carried real risk. This environment taught restraint without instruction. Calories were valued, not casually consumed. Meals were eaten with awareness, and excess was avoided because the cost was felt later. The body learned efficiency, storing energy only when necessary and using it carefully. Modern life removed consequence entirely. Food is abundant, cheap, and endlessly replaceable. Overeating no longer carries immediate cost, and the body is pushed to handle excess again and again. Without limits, restraint fades, and metabolic systems are forced into constant storage mode. When calories arrive without consequence, the body loses its natural feedback loop. Blood sugar rises frequently, insulin remains elevated, and fat storage increases. Over time, this constant surplus overwhelms the system and pushes it toward resistance and disease. Medieval people were not disciplined because they tried harder. They were disciplined because their environment demanded it. Modern life removed those demands, and the body now carries the burden alone. Life followed biology, not schedules. In medieval life, the human body was not forced to obey artificial systems. Life moved according to daylight, weather, seasons, and physical limits. When the sun rose, work began. When the light faded, activity slowed. Night was not conquered, extended, or ignored. It was respected. Sleep followed darkness naturally. People rested not because they tracked hours, but because the body signaled fatigue. The nervous system settled as the environment quieted. Hormones followed their natural cycle, rising and falling in balance, without interference. Eating followed hunger, not habit. Meals were shaped by availability, not routine. If food was not present, the body adapted. If work was heavy, hunger was real. If activity slowed, appetite softened. The body and environment spoke the same language. Movement followed survival. People walked because they had to. They lifted because work demanded it. Stillness was rare, and when it arrived, it was earned. The body stayed aligned with its original design because life required it to. There was no constant light disrupting internal clocks, no glowing screens pulling attention late into the night, no artificial stimulation forcing wakefulness when the body needed rest. Darkness arrived, and the body responded by slowing down. Modern life reversed this relationship completely. The body no longer leads, schedules do. Alarms interrupt sleep before recovery is complete. Artificial light tells the brain it is always daytime. Screens keep the nervous system alert long after the body wants to shut down. Eating is no longer guided by hunger, but by habit, emotion, stress, and convenience. Meals are scheduled even when the body does not need fuel. Late-night eating disrupts repair cycles that once happened effortlessly during sleep. Movement has been confined to small, optional windows. The body sits still for hours, then is asked to perform intensely for short bursts. This pattern confuses muscles, weakens glucose uptake, and strains metabolic systems that evolved for constant low-level activity. Stress no longer comes from physical challenge, followed by rest. It comes from mental pressure that never resolves. The body stays in alert mode, even while sitting still. Blood sugar rises in response to stress alone. Insulin works overtime, and recovery never fully arrives. The body still operates on ancient rules, but modern life ignores them. Hormones do not respond to calendars or deadlines. Insulin does not recognize productivity goals. Circadian rhythms do not adjust to social expectations. Biology does not negotiate. When the body is forced to live out of sync with its design, it begins to malfunction. Blood sugar control weakens. Insulin sensitivity declines. Energy systems lose flexibility. Disease does not appear suddenly. It builds slowly as alignment disappears. Medieval people did not optimize health. They lived in alignment with it. Their world was harsh, but it made sense to the body. Modern life is comfortable, but it constantly demands biological compromise. This is why diabetes is not simply a disease of food, or sugar, or genetics. It is a disease of rhythm, a disease of misalignment, a disease of a body trying to survive in an environment it was never designed for. The tragedy is not that modern people lack discipline. It is that discipline alone cannot overcome an environment that works against biology every hour of the day. The burden has shifted entirely onto the individual, while the system remains unchanged. When life followed biology, health emerged naturally. When biology is forced to follow schedules, health becomes fragile. The body resists for years, sometimes decades, before finally breaking down. Diabetes is not the body's failure. It is the body's signal that something fundamental has gone wrong, a warning that alignment has been lost. The solution is not to return to medieval life, but to understand what it protected. Respect for darkness, respect for hunger, respect for movement, respect for rest, respect for limits. The body has not changed. It is still asking for the same things it always has. It is still waiting for life to make sense again. Diabetes did not appear because the human body suddenly became weak. It appeared because life slowly moved away from the body's natural design. For most of history, health was not something people chased. It was something that emerged naturally when life followed biology. Food was earned. Rest was real. Movement was unavoidable. Limite existed. Modern life removed those limits and asked the body to adapt endlessly. For a while, it did. And then it began to struggle. This is not a story of blame. It is a story of remembering. Remembering that the body still speaks the same language it always has. Remembering that constant convenience comes with a hidden cost. Remembering that health is not created by force, but by alignment. You do not need to live like the past, but you do need to listen to what the past quietly protected. Because the body has not forgotten. It is only waiting to be understood again.